Hey, welcome everybody to, of course, the new episode of Prime Time Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and friends. I am your host, Mr. Boomstick XL, and as you can tell, we've made some changes to, of course, the program. Now, obviously, Buzzer Beater, here he is. Well, Forte, welcome to the program, my brother. How you feeling?
I'm good.
Forte?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Well, hello? Oh, okay.
No, you're good.
You're good. There we go. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, obviously, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties trying this for the first time. I want to thank everybody for being here. Obviously, this is the new and improved Primetime Gaming. And we're going to have, as soon as we get the introductions done, I'm going to open up the show, and then we're going to get the of course, gameplay of Avengers running in the background. Listen, just out of curiosity, can anyone hear the music from the game, or is it just me?
All I hear is you.
I don't hear the music. No.
So then it's just me. I just have to, of course, lower that. I want to thank everybody for being here, of course. And listen, folks, we have an amazing show lined up for you today. And of course, we are introducing someone relatively new to the community, making his first appearance on Primetime Gaming. And let's start with him first. Steel Rain, first of all, dude, welcome to the program. It is finally great. I know that we've been going back and forth to get you on here. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who Steel Rain is?
Well, boom, it is I, Steel Rain, man. I want to thank you for allowing the rain to be a part of this party tonight, man. For those who don't know me, man, you can just call me Steel. And I'm here to, I guess, represent not only the casual gamers, but the hardcore gamers also, boom. I'm an Xbox first kind of gamer, multiplayer gamer. I've been doing this for a long time, boom. I've been gaming since Genesis. I'm a 90s kid. And I'm come to bring in the perspective, that gaming wasn't cool where I came from, boom. But somehow we still pulled it off. And sometimes you got to say, fuck life and excuse me for everything that it has going on, especially in these crazy times, and just make something happen. So it's time to chase that passion, boom. And I hope y'all are going to stay tuned in for a fantastic show. Got some fire topics for y'all tonight, man. And yeah.
Well, thanks so much for being here, dude. Super appreciate it. Cannot wait to get your opinion on these fire topics. So let's get into the remainder of the introductions. And we're going to start with Gaming Forte. Now, Gaming Forte, I know that your phone has been ringing off the hook because everybody wants to know, obviously when the PlayStation news is going to drop. We're waiting Wednesday for that. We know about the, store taking pre-orders on the 22nd for both the Series X and S. And you, my friend, have been killing it with your content. How you been, brother?
I've been good, man. Just doing the content creation thing, man, working. Kids started school last week, so dealing with that, man. Shout out to all the teachers out there, man. You don't realize how hard it is to get, especially middle school. I mean, elementary school kids in line in order to get this stuff done. When it comes to getting them to pay attention to what's going on the screen, man, it's rough. But outside of that, man, it's good, man. It's been a great weekend. Oh, go ahead.
Forte, you sound like you've been on, this is your 10th podcast just this week.
That's the running joke.
It feels like that, man. My wife woke up this morning and was like, look, man, I'm going to need you to make sure that she don't fall asleep at the table again today like she did earlier. But no, man, other than that, it's good. I will say this, though. There will be, especially if you're doing a GameStop, Xbox, it will be allocations.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Allocations on the 22nd. Stores will be opening at 12 o'clock. So they will take pre-orders on that day. You just got to make sure you're at your store as early as possible. We don't know how many each store is going to get. It's going to be randomized based on how performance is in your store. So get there soon if you're going to GameStop to pick it up.
Yeah, again, I've already been in touch with, of course, my local GameStop, and yeah, it's at 12 o'clock, and it's going to be. I'm interested to see how many people turn up for this. Hopefully, it is not ridiculous, and my store happens to be busy, so I think they're going to have quite a few of them. How many we don't know, but let's continue, of course, with the introductions. Next, someone that took 2 weeks off to, of course, handle some family business, go on vacation. He's even more exhausted now than before he left. Please welcome back Tempest son. What's going on, brother?
Oh man, it's good to be back. I miss this, and yeah, I have a pretty large family. There's 37 of us, and we thought it was a good idea to cram inside a beach house all together. So it was an interesting time. Chaos ensued, that's for sure. But no, it's good to be back, and what a time to be back. Geez, we got plenty to talk about. So
yeah, there is a lot to talk about, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so let's continue. Of course, Mag, you have been making some waves, not only on this particular podcast, but you are now a part of a little show called After Dark with the nasty one himself, Nuke Nukem. Of course, have become a fan favorite because of your mooch-like voice, as well as your very strong opinions on gaming. How you been, brother?
I am doing very well. I'm super excited to be here. Good evening, Boom. Good evening, chat. Good evening, panel. And a special good evening to our new friend, Steel Rain, for making his appearance on tonight's show. Super great show we got lined up for you tonight. I just spoke to Forte before the show. He gave me the inside scoop. I've just ordered a Series X, a Series X, a Series V, a Series X, Y, and Z. It's all done. So I'm super excited for the 22nd. But anyways, we got a great show tonight, so let's get to it.
Thanks so much, bro, for being here, as always. And certainly last and no way least. And he might be feeling a type of way because he went after the mag, but that's okay because he's here. He's our resident Cape Crusader. Hopefully you are reading The Three Jokers if you are a Batman fan, and I know that you are. Welcome to the show, bro. How you feeling?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's time for time, baby. Woo! Let's go. We got some exciting news last week. This week, we have potential news coming out on Wednesday. It's a great time to be a gamer, guys. I'm excited to be here. Big ups to Steel, guest appearance here in Primetime Gamer first time. And our brother's back. Tempest, man. That's right. We got a good show coming up for you guys.
Loan me some of that energy there, buddy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. After your vacation, oh man, you need a vacation from your vacation.
That's right.
Well, obviously, you do see someone missing from the podcast. Clowns is not going to be making it tonight because he took apart his computer and had a bit of a difficult time putting it back together. So he'll be back next week, and that's perfectly fine. He's obviously upping the ante for being a part of the PC Master Race. But before we get into the first topic and part of the Bits and Bytes section of tonight's show, I want to thank Face B23BKNY with the outstanding $5 super chat, and he says, just confirm PlayStation 5 supports Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.1 technology. Xbox Series X and S doesn't have it. You know what, dude? That's great. I mean, listen, if you're going to ring that bell, good on you. I'm getting both consoles, but to be honest with you, I'd rather have the power and the velocity, velocity engine that the console's running, as opposed to these two particular things that you're highlighting. But listen, man, if you're excited, I'm excited. Thanks so much for being here. So let's get into the bits and bytes. And obviously, heavily next generation talk has been the norm in the last couple of weeks. More specifically, I would say the last maybe, 10 or 14 days, it's really hit the highlight of 2020 in regards to, of course, next gen gaming talk. And, a good friend of the community who has made a name for himself in a way that I don't think he even saw coming. Our good friend, Jeff Grubb, on his podcast at the 115 mark, which, and I have this particular podcast in the show notes if you want to go check it out, talks about how Microsoft is spending a lot of money. I mean, talking big sacks of cash on something that is not a studio acquisition, and he believes that it is Game Pass related. So the big question for the chat, the big question for the panel is if he's right, which of the big third-party games will be coming into Game Pass day and date? Now, of course, the immediate answer for pretty much anyone is going to be Cyberpunk 2077. And to be honest, it is the easy answer. He has confirmed that he does not believe that's what it is. And I'm right there with him. I actually believe that. I don't know if that in fact is going to be the case. Now, our good friends at the, of course, Xbox Reddit site that I'm always pushing, they took a screen grab. Microsoft, now again, this is not a topic. This is just I'm just throwing this out there because we're going to talk about this once I have more information on Thursday's Xbox Factor podcast. But it appears that Cyberpunk 2077 has been moved up to the 10th to coincide the launch with the Series X and S, according to some Microsoft documentation that they posted. So go check that out if you're interested. But I think, and again, if I was a guessing kind of a dude, I would say that the game that I would think is going to be in Game Pass day and date, simply because it was moved up specifically by Ubisoft, is Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I think that is going to be the game that takes the place of Halo Infinite, which of course has been delayed. But there are a ton of other games coming out, so I'm interested to know exactly what the panel thinks. And Forte, I want to go to you if you're there. This is one of the things that Microsoft is looking to do is, of course, make a big splash. Besides having the console launch on November 10th. And the way that they can make a big splash, the way that they can make these consoles literally fly off the shelves is the value proposition, something that we've talked about quite often, not only on this show, but more specifically on last week's Xbox Factor podcast. Do you think it could be Assassin's Creed, or could it be something that none of us have picked?
It could be Assassin's Creed. I mean, when I saw that they did move up the date to coincide with the release of the next gen systems, I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." I was like, it was a week later, if I remember correctly. So now it's coming out day and date. Like you said, Cyberpunk would have been the one that everybody would choose, and the fact that they came out so long ago and actually said that that's not the thing, we could just take that off the window because they already debunked that being a thing. But if it's not Cyberpunk, I can even see it being something like Watch Dogs going.
I was just going to say that too. Yes,
because that comes out a couple of weeks beforehand, so you can also just get a lot of excitement and people wanting to play Watch Dogs early and say, "Hey, if you already got an Xbox One X or Xbox One S, you can play Watch Dogs in October." Because it'll be one of the games that releases in October. Say you're going to play that in Game Pass, and all of your progress will transfer over in Game Pass to the new systems and stuff. So you kind of get people already into that ecosystem if they're already a part of it, and then they're just going to gradually just move over to the X or the S when it comes out. So I think those are very, very good indicators that could actually happen around that. Assassin's Creed just seems like, for me, Assassin's Creed seems like the game that they know they're going to sell because a lot of people buy into that game all the time. Where Watch Dogs is not annual, not semi-annual. It's like they're on their third one right now, and a lot of people are interested just because of the setting of it. And what way to show confidence in that game by saying, "Hey, we believe in this game so much that we're just going to literally let this go into Game Pass, and we know that people are going to buy it just off the fact that it's getting so much attention." Because people are going to buy Assassin's Creed because they just like Assassin's Creed. Not too many people really care for Watch Dogs as much like that. The first one was like hit or miss. The second one was better, and now this is going to be the one where people are going to be like, "Okay, I'll take a wait and see approach to see what everybody else thinks before I jump in." I think it's probably going to be one of the better ones they did because I like the way that they're breaking down the story in it, the way that they're using the characters to actually be a part of the game, to be people that you can recruit. And if you put that in something like Game Pass and allow people to see it early and get a chance to say, "Hey, you can get into this through the subscription you already have," I think that's going to do a lot for that game and just the excitement level around it. Just remember, the reason Sea of Thieves does so well is not because it sold well, it just has so many eyes on it. Whenever they put a new update on that game, people flock to it because they say, "Well, I got that part of my subscription." it's probably not something that interests people to like say, oh, I'm gonna go out and buy Sea of Thieves because it looks cool. No, it's in a subscription model, so you can just jump in and jump out whenever you want to. And I think going into the holiday, that will be something that can definitely work for Ubisoft and Xbox to have something that jumps in there. So I would think Watch Dogs before Assassin's Creed, but either one of them will work.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. You know, it's funny because Jeff is, like I said, has been making a name for himself. And if you look at what is potentially coming out on the 10th, now, I mean, again, I'm gonna paint a little bit of a picture for you here, and then I'm gonna bring, of course, Cybernox into the conversation. We have Dirt 5 releasing on the 6th, right? And that's one bookend. On the 13th, you have Black Ops, Call of Duty Cold War, right? Now, there's no way that the PlayStation 5 is going to launch the same week of the Series X. They're going to have to wait the week afterwards. And it's pretty interesting and pretty strategic when you think about what Microsoft has done here. Because when you bookend the 6th and the 13th, and then you go, then obviously the common denominator factor is going to be the 10th when both consoles launch. You have, besides Assassin's Creed, right? Besides, of course, potentially Cyberpunk if it gets moved up, which we think it's going to be moved up. You also have Destiny 2, the new expansion. Yeah, Yakuza Like a Dragon. You also have the Medium and the Ascent and whatever else that's going to be in there. Talk about a launch. Now, I don't know what else you could possibly put into there, but Cybernox, you know, Jeff Grubb has it on good authority that they are spending some serious money. That's not a studio acquisition. And he believes that it is Game Pass related. What else could you add to this service for the launch of these consoles?
Yeah, man. So a lot of people were speculating, right? Bungie. Obviously, Microsoft has now or always has had a great working relationship with Bungie. You know, it shows even with Destiny 2 and all their content coming to Game Pass, it shows like trust between these two companies. Like all their future expansions are coming to get Game Pass. I know Mag's extremely excited. He tweets about it to me every day. Like, come on, man. So yeah, so you know they got a good relationship going, right? But
well, Pete Parsons and Phil Spencer are best of friends.
Oh yeah, and Phil loves that game too.
Yeah.
So the substantial amount of money that he's talking about could be maybe for some, you know, future expansions coming to Game Pass, or potentially Bungie's next game besides Destiny, whatever else they're working on, that game also coming to Game Pass. But I'm kind of with you guys. I think they want something to come out actually this year, to come out with a console.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed would be something that they have the marketing rights to already. They're in talks with Ubisoft. But you know what I'm thinking? I'm not thinking just Assassin's Creed. After EA Play came to Game Pass, all their games came to Game Pass, it got me thinking, hey, you know what? Why not Ubisoft Uplay Plus coming to Game Pass as well? Jeff said it's a substantial amount of money. So why not that service?
I hate to kind of pour rain on your parade, but unfortunately, I thought the same thing. They signed with Stadia.
Oh, they did.
They did.
Then that's done. Then yeah, it could potentially be then Assassin's Creed or maybe a Watch Dogs. Because my first thought was if EA came through, you know, then Ubisoft is looking at this as, hey, you know, there's money to be made here. If EA, a company that kind of thinks like us when it comes to monetary gain,
right?
Maybe we can go ahead and also sign with Xbox Game Pass. But if you're, you know, if that's done, then then that leaves maybe, you know, something else working with Bungie, or, you know, obviously the big one would be Cyberpunk 2077.
They keep saying no, but for some reason my heart keeps saying yes.
Hey, they can keep saying no all they want, but if they keep dropping that bag right now, here we go. Here we go. You know, keep upping their the amount. It could potentially say yes, and it's not like they're asking Cyberpunk, to be exclusive to Game Pass or Xbox. It's just saying, hey, let it just be released on Game Pass as well, and potentially maybe xCloud. Then, everything will work out. But yeah, my big theory was going to be the Ubisoft Uplay Plus because of what happened with EA. But since they signed with Stadia, I guess
they just signed with Stadia, which
that's dead in the water. But Assassin's Creed would also be a big win, especially now. It's going to come out day and day. It's going to come out on the same day as the consoles themselves, and it's going to be 4K 60. So it'll be a good win if they can do that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, again, they are lining themselves up for a big W, for sure. You know what? Let's bring Steel Rain and get his opinion on this. Steel Rain, you've heard some of the panel's opinion. You've been seeing the chat as we close in on almost 300 people already here. I mean, listen, the sting of Halo Infinite, to me anyway, for me, is gone. Simply because it is what it is, right? That you can't change what happened. You got to get over it. Listen, we're all going to be better for it as gamers. Halo's going to be better for it, and 343 is going to be better for it, and in turn, Microsoft is going to be better for it. So just let that game go back and bake. Bring it out next year at the anniversary of the 20th anniversary of Halo, and make Halo great again. But the 10th of November, it will be here in 2 shakes of a stick, right? And we know that Jeff Grubb very rarely gets it wrong. And when he says he has it on good authority, I believe he knows for an absolute fact what's coming, and he just can't say. What are your thoughts on what Microsoft is dropping these big bags of money at? Who's getting this money?
You know what, Boom? First off, I want to say, everybody hit that subscribe and like button, man. You guys, one time for Boom, man. We got to shout out to these people, man. And to the panel, man. Y'all are fucking fantastic. Sorry, excuse me. But honestly, let's really look into it. Let me bring y'all into my reign, into my territory. From my perspective, man, honestly, the only thing that really makes sense is the games that you guys said, Valhalla, Watch Dogs, Legions. But I'm actually kind of threw back because there's also the possibility that they could bring Outriders up to launch with the launch of the Xbox. Now, that would be an excellent game to go with. A third person over the shoulder, multiplayer, co-op kind of game. Really, I think that'd be a solid game. But other than that, I mean, as far as just dropping off some more money for the launch, I mean, there's only so many things that you could do with already getting EA Play. There's already going to be 200 plus games, but I don't know what more value can Xbox really bring. What more value can Phil Spencer himself bring to the Xbox console, man? I don't know what else. I don't know what else we could do. We got games like The Medium coming, Destiny's coming. Destiny by itself, I think, is going to bring so many people, and launching into Game Pass on day one. I don't think people really understand how many people that's really going to bring, how many ears that's going to perk up. Let me tell you right now, I put down Destiny for a year because I said, you know what? I am tired of you continuously paying me. And I felt like it was because more of Activision, because you notice after Activision left Bungie, things are starting to look a little better. I'm starting to see the light, but we'll see. With them bringing everything free to Game Pass, Boom, everything up to date, you're getting a full almost 4 year experience of Destiny. I don't see what you can beat at 60 frames per second on a $300 console. What are we doing? What are we talking about?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. That is definitely a great point. I mean, listen, they are working to make something special. There's no doubt about it. And what they're going to bring to the table is going to be huge, at least in my opinion. And the Destiny thing, I know that 4K is literally tickled pink because he's going to be playing the new expansion on his new console at 4K 60 confirmed. It is going to be, again, it is a bit of a head scratcher, and I do like the theory of the watchdogs. I you know, that wasn't even in the equation, but that could be something that you want to bring there. But I just think the easy answer is, of course, you know, Assassin's Creed. I mean, why wouldn't you want Assassin's Creed? But you know what? Let's bring in Mag to the conversation. Mag, where do you think Microsoft is dropping these big bags of money, according to Jeff Grubb?
Well, you know what? You guys have all touched on basically what I was going to say, but there is something else here. I'm not going to lie to you, Boom. I'm going to go with the easy ones first and foremost. And first of all, if you recall last year, you remember I sent you that deleted tweet from Xbox South Africa about Cyberpunk going into Game Pass. And I mean, it was online for like 14 seconds, and then all of a sudden it disappeared. And luckily, I screen capped it. But anyways, I think that was a guarantee. Just not at launch. I don't think that was ever going to be at launch, launch title. Maybe 8 months to a year later, it would have shown up on Game Pass. They would have had some kind of a deal. But with COVID rearing its ugly head, Xbox losing Halo at launch, well, what happens? Big moves needed to be made. And I think that this is one of two moves. I think the other move, just like you guys have all but said, is AC Valhalla day one. They moved the release date up to match the Xbox launch date. I mean, you know, how much more obvious can it get? I mean, this is just speculation at the end of the day. And, you know, you also rhymed off all those other games. I'm going to rhyme them off again. Because if you have a launch lineup of AC, let's say, okay, speculation, folks, AC Valhalla, Destiny 2, Cyberpunk 2077, Yakuza, Medium, and Ascent, and they're all on Game Pass? I mean, I don't care if Kratos himself comes down from the sky with a chariot and hand delivers all PS5 pre-orders. You can't compete with a lineup like that, especially considering, I mean, okay, we saw a little trailer today, but for the most part, we haven't really seen squat about what Sony's doing day one for titles. Day one, I'm saying, not Ratchet and Clank 3 months from now. I'm talking day one. And that will probably change by Wednesday, I would imagine. I really, really hope, because I want to know why I'm spending all that money on a PS5. I want to know why I'm spending it day one. But if they don't come with anything significant and Microsoft comes with this, again, speculation, nobody can compete with that on launch day. So I still think that, in my opinion, it's going to be AC Valhalla. And the outside wild card is going to be that Cyberpunk 2077. But I don't know. My heart tells me they're gonna jam both of them in there day one. That's my personal feeling.
That would be something else. And I think what they're trying to do is to basically steal every ounce of media headline you could possibly have, because remember, we this Wednesday, Sony is finally giving us, and again, I don't have this on good authority, folks. I'm simply going to guesstimate that we're going to get release date, we're going to get release prices, and we're going to get pre-order date. That would be the wise man way of thinking. And I'm still thinking that Sony's going to come out right before Black Friday, right before Thanksgiving. I'm thinking the 19th. Even if Microsoft has those 9 days ahead of them, which I think they're going to have, if you can have a launch lineup, like I talked about before, that includes a good chunk of these games going into Game Pass, and on top of the big boy box for all of us that are here. We have over 300 people here in the chat, right? So we're going to buy, if you're an Xbox guy or gal and you're listening to the show, chances are you're probably going to buy the Series X. But the Series S, folks, is the wild card in the conversation. And that $300 price point, the 1440p up to upwards of 120 frames per second, is going to be the generational winner. And we're going to segue into the next topic. And you know, listen, folks, I want people to understand that this is an opinion. So don't get yourself all bent out of shape if you happen to be a Sony fan and I come at you. You know, I come at this from a very heavy Xbox point of view. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I was having a conversation with many people that are on my shows. And I believe it would have been even like the Xbox guys, you know, Mr. Bad Bits, Insipid Ghost, Boxer Bear, obviously VJ and Zemi Games. You know, we have our own private DM. And when the question was posed to me of who do I think is going to sell more consoles, I immediately, without hesitation, said, well, Sony's going to sell more PlayStation 5s. And then, of course, last week happened. Last week, I said this on the Tuesday special edition show of the Xbox Factor podcast, and I reset it. both on Thursday and Friday. I think that in all of the years of covering the Xbox brand, what turned out to be a massive leak internally turned out to be one of the best weeks, in my opinion, in the company's, I don't know, you can say entire generation, because they somehow pivoted and used what was put out there, and it was an onslaught of news. Now, I'm going to say this. The one thing that, when you're talking to a Sony fan that's strictly Sony, they want to talk about console sales. They want to talk about first-party games. They want to talk about how Sony is for the players. And you know what? I won't argue that one bit. But when you look at what caused Sony to sell so many consoles, it was that particular Black Friday where they had the Spider-Man PS4 Slim for $150, and it obviously sold an unbelievable. I think it sold the most in the console in Black Friday console history, and for good reason, for $150. It's the cool system because it looked cool. It was Spider-Man. It was Sony. It was the hip system. I think that all of what Sony did is great, and this generation for them is a big W. But I don't think that's going to happen this particular generation. And again, I'm not saying that Sony isn't going to bring the goods. That's not what this conversation is about. In 2013, what did Sony have, folks? Sony had price and power, right? They had two things that Microsoft did not have. They also had something else that people don't equate with the whole conversation, and that is messaging. They had the messaging. This is how you trade games. 1080p makes you a better gamer, right? All that kind of stuff. And it resonated with the community, the diehard community. And then from that, with it resonating to the diehard community, they sold the PlayStation 4 to their friends who were casuals. Well, folks, I got news for you. My whole theory of how Sony was going to walk away in console sales with the next generation has completely been 180'd. I don't think that's going to happen at all. As a matter of fact, I think the winner of this generation is going to be the Xbox Series S, and here's why. The choice between both price and power is advantage number one, in my opinion, because of a potentially $200 price difference between the Series the Series S and the discless version. Again, folks, this is theory, okay? Because we've seen different prices. Some people say it's going to be $399. I don't think so. I think that we're going to be a little shell-shocked on Wednesday. I see potentially something like $549 for the disc, $499 for the discless, or even $50 cheaper than that. I see $449 for the digital version, and they're not going to lose $100 per console. I'm telling you that right now. Sony is not going to do that. So the disc version $499, and of course the discless one was going to be $449. I think it's going to be a $50 difference. And if that in fact is the case, you're going to tell me that someone's going to walk into the store and simply buy $150 more expensive console because of an exclusive? Folks, if you want to believe that, that's fine. But the percentage of people that actually buy exclusives outside of the diehards like us is such a low percentage, it doesn't even make dollars and cents. Most people who buy a console that are part of the casual market, and Forte, I want to go to you next on this because you could back up my points and opinion on this because you know firsthand. The casual market is in for 3 to 5 games per year, and I think I'm even going a little high. It could be 2 to 3. They're going to buy the Call of Duties. They're going to buy their 2Ks. They're going to buy their Maddens. They're potentially going to buy that one exclusive, particularly Spider-Man. He's a popular guy. MCU is popular, right? You know, Miles Morales is a heroic character that the world needs right now. So they will buy that. But Forte, when you hear my theory about how price and power have now been shifted, again, folks, this is something that we've talked about generations changing, and people just assume, well, Sony's so dominant. Sony is just so good at what they do. There's no way they could lose or be in second place in the next generation. Well, just remember this for a second, folks. We all said the same thing about the Xbox 360, riding that high cloud in the sky. And then, of course, Don Matrix happened and the whole thing went to shit. Forte, listen, the opinion is just mine. I could be 100% wrong. But with that said, I'm interested to know from your perspective, someone that is on the front line, could Microsoft be onto something with a $300 console that runs at 1440p, upwards of 120 frames per second, when you factor in Xbox Game Pass, when you factor in EA Play, or formerly EA Access, when you factor in Project X Cloud, when you factor in Xbox Live, the value proposition is insane, to say out loud. Do you think that this could move this console?
Is absolutely going to move the console. The thing is, so just to talk about the thing that you said at first about them winning the gen, man, I hope so. I hope so. Just because I think if Microsoft can get back into that lane again, I think a lot of people will just be like, okay, Microsoft is actually making great sound moves when it comes to the console. Because I think right now a lot of people think the moves they're making, yes, they're good for their company, but they're not good for gaming. And they think that the fact that you have a subscription model and you don't have exclusives day one, they think that that's going to be detrimental to the system. In so many ways it could be, but I do think overall, I think just having to be able to pick up a system day one and not have to buy games for it is a very powerful entity that people overlook. Now, do I think Microsoft is going to win the gen, like be number one in sales like they were back last gen? I mean, this was between PlayStation and Xbox because we ran away with it, but it's a possibility. The thing is, for me, I always go back to 2013, yeah, Microsoft shot themselves in the foot, but they did a couple other things that people didn't realize happened over the course of those 2 years. Xbox didn't sell bad in 2013. They actually sold pretty well. Even with all the changes they made to the system, they were still behind Sony. They still sold like 1 to 2 million less than Sony going into that next year. It wasn't until 2014 you saw the divide happen. And what happened in 2014? Call of Duty was not exclusive on Xbox anymore when it came to next gen. That was the first year that Call of Duty went from being cross-gen to next gen only. And that was the first year that they lost the marketing deal for the game. Once they lost that marketing deal, and I remember 100% this is what happened. I follow people like Drifter, who is a huge Call of Duty player. I watch his YouTube and everything. And the competitive scene, the Call of Duty World Championships, all used to be housed on Xbox. Once they moved over to PlayStation, all the competitive people went to PlayStation. And then what happened? All those competitive people have YouTube channels, and they convinced all their players to go over to PlayStation. So there was a domino effect. That was like the beginning of what happened, then. Then what happened right after that at E3? Kobe Bryant comes out on stage, 2K15. He's on the cover of it. Guess what? Exclusive partnership with Sony. Yeah. And then that was another mic drop moment for them, because they started scooping up all of the third-party licenses and getting people to think that this stuff was synonymous with that system. Yeah. And like you said, the one thing is once you get the casual market thinking that something's only on one system, or a bunch of their friends are going to that system, that's when you're going to start seeing divides happen in sales. Then you hit 2016. Think about it. Sony didn't have a good 2017. Like, it was okay, but 2018 is when it literally, like you said, blew up. You had God of War, you had Spider-Man. 2017, they had that bundle that had God of War. They had the 3-game bundle with God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, and I believe the first Last of Us was in it. Yes. They sold it for $200 in 2017.
They had Horizon Zero Dawn in 2017, right?
Yeah, and they had Horizon Zero Dawn in 2017, and they put in a bundle with 2 other games. So That's what happened in 2017. And then 2018, that Spider-Man bundle came out for I think it was actually 200 instead of 150, but still $200 was still a ridiculous price. And they just ride the wave of all their exclusives that came out towards the end of the year. So I do think that exclusive games do matter. They don't matter as much as some people think they do, because like you said, a good subsection of people don't even play those games. Like the fact that God of War sold less than 15 million, the fact that Spider-Man is their highest selling IP this generation and it's sold close to 15 million on 115 million sold. That's a great number, but that lets you know that over 100 and something million people didn't even think about purchasing that game. So all of their size and girth when it pause when it comes to like what they did was through that casual marketplace. So for me, Microsoft needs to do something like we were talking about in the first topic, get games into Game Pass or get games exclusively licensed to their system that people truly care about. Destiny 2, Cyberpunk, get games like that in there, because if you start talking in that lane, that's when you're going to start seeing that needle move. Call of Duty, get that thing back home, get that thing back on the box that made your made your system synonymous with first-person shooters, because you lost that you kind of lost that identity throughout this generation. You know, you don't have Halo Day One to push that narrative. What do we have? There's no Battlefield. I mean, we think there's a Battlefield coming, but EA hasn't said anything about it. So I think they kind of just took it on the chin in a whole bunch of different ways at the beginning of the generation, and it kind of snowballed. That can all change in the first couple of months of this generation, depending on what they do with their marketing deals and what they do as a company going forward. But it's hard to say what's going to happen, because as of right now, PlayStation has a lot of that stuff still locked up. I think a lot will be known on Wednesday when they start talking about all the deals they have in place. And if they don't have like some of the big hitters like we think they have, then Microsoft definitely has a chance, because that means they can still go out there and bring some games that people aren't even think about to the Xbox ecosystem, either Game Pass or just some exclusive marketing rights. Then I think they have a really true chance. But they got to get this third-party stuff under control and let Sony, reign supreme when it comes to all that.
There's a particular aspect and everything that one of the things that you left out, which I'm actually surprised.
Go ahead.
Was that deal with Destiny?
Well, see, people already listen, man. Everybody already know. Look, Destiny. Shout out to them on September 22nd. Everything that is available in Destiny at this moment, all the stuff that I paid over $200 for as the person that's playing Destiny for the last 3 years, you get for free in Game Pass on the 22nd of this month. I'm working on a video that's going to basically tell people how to get into it, because there's going to be a lot of people. There's going to be, I'm halfway through that video because people been hitting me up like, how do I get into Destiny? That's like, okay.
Well, you guys ruined Mag, who I'm going to call on next.
Right.
Mag is officially a Destiny drug addict.
Yeah, but that game is going to be huge for them, and I think it's going to be the number one replacement for Halo. If you can't get Halo in there day one, you're going to get the next best thing, which I kind of feel like is kind of a better thing, because 343 hasn't done what Bungie has done with something that is called Destiny. So that's going to be huge. And then on the 22nd, you get all that. And then on the 10th of November, the same day the system launches, everybody that's in that ecosystem, soon as you get home with your new system, you can boot it up and get a whole brand new experience that
4K 60,
4K 60, brand new subclasses, brand new planets, whole kit and caboodle. So I think everybody's going to be excited on that day.
Yeah, no, real quick, Mag, I want to bring you into the conversation, but see, I'm going to attack this from a different angle for you. And the reason why I'm saying that I think Microsoft has a chance, it's not confirmed, folks, it's just my personal opinion. So if you want to boo me in the chat, that's fine. But this is why I personally think that Microsoft is going to win the generation. Besides having the power, which they clearly have the power, they have the price. Okay, the price, regardless, again, this system may not be for you. And that's fine. The Series S may not be this is not the console you're looking for. Move along, right? Fine. But it's for somebody. And it's for the same somebodies that sport a PlayStation 4 and buy 1 or 2, 3, 4 maximum games per year. And again, Microsoft didn't plan this. It just so happens the world took a shit the same year that they're putting all of this stuff into Xbox Game Pass, and they have the cheapest console, the cheapest next generation console of all time. OPS, by the way, right?
Yeah.
But here is the caveat to all of that shenanigans. When you look at Sony from 2013 to 2017, their first party output was at a minimum. Wasn't piss poor, it was at a minimum. Like, some people didn't like the Order 1886. I freaking loved it. Right? In that 3-year block, the pickings were slim. They were real slim. And what did Sony do? Sony got on the backs of indies, got on the backs of third party, and rode that until they were able to get their first party bangers out. Well, it just so happens, Mag, and I want you to elaborate on this. When you look at what Microsoft has coming to the table, let's break out the blueprint, Mag.
Yeah.
In the next couple of years, Microsoft appears that they're packing Xbox Game Pass with third-party stuff. They're dropping money bags at everyone's house because they want to ride these third-party deals until what comes out. Well, here's the blueprint. Halo Infinite coming next year, probably. Holiday next year. Hellblade 2, Forza Motorsport, Avowed, Fable, Everwild, Perfect Dark, State of Decay 3, and this is, we don't even know what other first party games from some of the studios that they haven't talked about, on top of acquisitions that we don't know about, right? So all of these major first party bangers, because every one of these games is a banger. I don't care what you say. We've seen them, and we've seen some glimpses of what these games are going to be. And they're all going to be freaking AAA bangers. This is a very similar recipe. They could have ripped the page right out of the Sony playbook and seem to have been putting this into play. What are your thoughts on Microsoft potentially not only winning on price and power, but when they need the first party games, they will be there?
Okay, so everything that you just said, absolutely correct. Now, what they're doing is they're taking the page straight out of Sony's book. They look like they're doing the exact same game plan, which worked for Sony last generation. But at the same time, instead of having 2 or 3 weak years, it looks like maybe just the 1 year. And I don't think that was initially their plan. But again, the world went to hell and things got pushed back a bit. I mean, look at Hollywood right now. Hollywood was supposed to release Wonder Woman 6 times already, and they keep pushing it back.
Yes.
Right? So what's happening here? I think that Phil's original vision was, let's do what Sony did on steroids. So instead of, let's do third-party stuff, let's put third-party games and deals and all kinds of all those kind of acquisitions into Game Pass, and then at the same time, let's start hammering people with that big first-party sledgehammer and start banging out game after game after game. And I think that they were going to do exactly that. So there was going to be no breaks and no weakness in the armor. Now, I'm going to go off road here for a second because there's something nobody's mentioned yet, but I am going to mention, and this is actually going to tie right into where I think Xbox is going to be going in the near future in terms of success. We have not missed anything. You've covered basically all the bases except for one base, xCloud.
Yes.
The thing is, people do not sleep on the power of and the messaging that xCloud is going to bring to the table. The ability to play everything, not just Xbox first party has to offer, okay, on Game Pass, without even having to purchase any device other than a controller, is remarkable. It is not getting enough attention, and I know why. I understand why. I mean, this, you know where the spotlight is. The spotlight is on the consoles. The spotlight is on, Series X and Series S versus PS5. That's where it is right now. This is kind of sitting on the back burner. But you know what? It won't be on the back burner for very much longer, because when it starts getting out there and people start talking about it, you watch what's going to happen. Okay? And we all know that, you know, what's going on. But, you know, when they start showing up on Samsung TVs as an app, for example, or people start seeing you play Yakuza on the train, or maybe Cyberpunk on your lunch break at work, like I said, maybe, okay, there will be a monumental paradigm shift on not only Xbox's public perception of accessibility into the ecosystem, but also a shift in mindshare. Because PS5s will be in the home. We get that. It'll be in my home. It'll be in your home, Boom. But you ain't taking them to work.
Right.
Okay. And you're not taking it on the train. In this case with xCloud, people will be seeing it for themselves. And that's worth more than 1,000 positive words about the PS5. Because the console that's not in front of people, you know, let's say you have two buddies talking at work. Hey, how awesome is the PS5? Oh, it's awesome. But you'd have to come over and check it out. Or have to go check it out for yourself on YouTube or something. Just take my word for it. Okay? But how about this? Hey, dude, how awesome is Xbox Game Pass? And you turn around and be like, it's right here. Take a look. Mm-hmm. And you've got it right in your hands.
People are going to lose their mind when they see something like Avowed or Forza Motorsport or Hellblade 2 running on your handheld phone.
And
I've
you know how many people
don't
even know xCloud exists? Sorry, Cyber, what were you saying, brother?
No. Sorry, I was just gonna say I've done that already at work because I was in the beta. So people are wild. They're just like, are you playing Halo? I was like, yeah.
I was playing Forza Horizon 4 at the I think it was the Orlando airport when I was coming back from Disney earlier this year before everything went to hell. And you should have seen the people crowding around me going, "What is that?" And they had no idea, and they were gamers, and they had no idea what was going on. And I was showing them all that. So you see what I'm saying? That is where it's going to have a big shift. Now, I'm going to agree with your assessment somewhat. Okay, Boom?
I mean, listen, everyone's free to make their own choice, brother.
Here, I'm going to agree with it somewhat. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. It's going to be a hell of a seesaw process, okay? So just hear me out. But the PS5 selling more than Xbox will eventually happen. In the grand global scheme of things. That's the way I see it. I think it'll happen in the same fashion as the PS3 360 era. I mean, if you go down the list of what happened with the 360 and the PS3, everything up to this point is almost bang on. It's like history is repeating itself. Now, Xbox is going to sell huge this gen, okay? At $299 for that Series S, some, not all, PS5 users and PS4 users, they're going to buy it as a secondary console to play Game Pass and at least keep current with the future Xbox ecosystem. But to buy an Xbox outright over the PS5 because of price and power, that's not going to sway as many gamers as one would think, especially if you like the PlayStation ecosystem. Your friends are on there. You have your digital games on there. You aren't switching outright. Now, you're most likely to do what I said. You get an Xbox S as a secondary console, where Xbox is going to gain the most ground, and this is huge, is the casual market, which, of course, you touched on. Because parents, kids, and casuals, 3 words for you guys. Price is king.
Yes.
Okay? Look at it from a parent's point of view who's not a gamer, let's say, okay? Or a mom or whatever, or a dad, or they're not gamers or whatever, and their kids want something. Why would they even consider spending $500 for either console when you can spend $200 less and play all the exact same games? And at the same time, you don't even have to buy half the games because then you have Game Pass coming with it. They'll be like, that's okay, $15, we can handle that. And then they get access to hundreds of games now, if you include EA in there. Now, you like your Call of Duties and everything else. Yeah, okay, you have to buy those. But you know what? It's not a big deal because half of the time you're going to be playing Fortnite, which is free to play. I mean, I can name at least a dozen people in my life right now who are picking up a Series X for exactly that reason. Now, here's the seesaw. Here's where Sony's going to come in. Down the road, when their prices come down and the big bangers start coming out, that's when the PS5s are truly, besides outside of the hardcore, okay, outside of the hardcore, that's when they're truly going to start flying off the shelves. I mean, let's also face the fact that there are countries out there that simply will not buy American products, okay? So let's not lie to ourselves. We know this is true. So Sony will always have that leg up. And, of course, one other wild card is xCloud reaching those traditional Sony markets via mobile devices and etc. Right? Like your South Koreas, like your Japan, like your China. Okay, those places who would never even consider a console, but now they have access. And that's what, but that's a whole other, can of worms there. But at the same time, so all in all, the way I'm looking at this right now, Xbox is going to keep pace. And in some instances, I'm telling you, they're going to outsell the PS5. There's going to be a lot of NPDs where it's going to be Xbox. But in the end, just like what I'm saying, like the PS3, 360 era overall, they're still going to be the number one console for sales.
You know what? Again, everything you said is spot on. Tempest Son, I want to apologize because I think I missed you for the first topic, didn't I?
Yeah, it's fine, dude.
Yeah, I chilling. Yeah, terrible. You know what, Tempest? I want to bring you into this conversation. A, because I owe you a topic, but B, more importantly, everything Mag said, everything that Forte said is spot on.
Yeah.
But the contributing factor that no one has mentioned yet, and I want you to run with this because I saw your interaction with that knucklehead on Twitter. My God, that guy was a bit of a boob. Listen, we know price, we know power, we know value. Microsoft has it in spades. And if you're a Sony person, you have to tip your cap to what Phil Spencer has done. But there is one other major contributing factor as to why that my theory, Microsoft has already won this generation before it even starts. And that is, of course, the pricing plan that only Microsoft is doing. Now, this is something Sony hasn't talked about. This is something Sony didn't even consider because they want to sell you the console. They are traditional. But Xbox All Access gives the potential buyer who in a market, folks, you got to remember, we have to look at the big picture. I can't tell you what's going to happen 5 years from now. I can tell you what's going to happen right now, right in today, because the market is the market. People are struggling financially. People don't have $500 for a new PlayStation 5. They may not even have $400 for the PlayStation 5 digital. But do they have $300 for the Series X? Well, I don't know. But I tell you what they do have. $35 if you want an X and $25 a month if you want a Series S. Oh, and by the way, 0 APR.
Oh, yeah.
Microsoft is not making a dime. And on top of $35 a month, if you want to get the big boy, or you just want to have something nice for your kids underneath the tree that's new and next generation, for $25 a month, you're getting 2 years of Project xCloud, your Xbox Game Pass and Xbox Live for $25 a month, 0 APR. Mm-hmm. This is the X Factor, pun totally intended. What are your thoughts on my theories, and what are yours, Tempest?
Mine actually align with yours perfectly under two conditions. One is people know about it. Microsoft has to hammer this home. In fact, I think when they start doing their overall marketing, I think they should market it as $25 a month, or no money, or no upfront payment, whatever, or $35 for the Series X. I mean, I guess they could put the overall price of the consoles on there, but if that's the route they're going to take, they should just advertise it as $25 a month. Now, that more than anything, when people see the commercials, especially if they're plastered everywhere, they're going to be like, what? Excuse me? They're going to look into it. And the second thing is, if the credit part of things, if the credit check is too steep or too strict, this whole thing is pointless.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of that stuff, but if you need like a 700 credit score to get this thing, first of all, I don't think this is who that's for anyways, if you have like a great credit score, but it just can't be too steep. I think this purchasing plan is for the power of an individual, a mom and dad, a grandma, whatever, to go into a store, or just somebody thinking they want one, not sure. And then when they go to purchase the thing, somebody's just like, oh, hey, do you want to do this on the credit plan? And they'll, if the person, signing you out is, or checking you out, knows anything about it, they should tell you the details. And if you're approved, you walk out of there for $25 or $35. Also, on that note, I find it outrageously interesting that the Series X, we could sit here and say $25 all day long, but I think a lot of people, unless they really don't care about power, they're just going to see a $10 difference between the Series
and they're going to go for the big one. Yes,
they're going to go for the big one. Yeah, exactly. And
Agreed.
And it is a better product. The Series S is out of this world crazy cool for $300, but at the end of the day, the Series X is the big dog. So a lot of people are probably going to end up going home with that Series X. Also, I think what I'm about to say is I think roles are almost reversed this time, because as far as I know, Xbox is going to hit everywhere.
Yes,
global launch, and they want to hit it hard, especially in like Japan. I think they're going to put more of an effort this time around, intelligently this time around, even more than the 360. They tried it in the 360, but they tried to brute force it. I think this time around they're going to be a bit more smart about things, because they have stuff like xCloud, and they have Game Pass in Japan, right? Yes. They have like their own version of it. So there's a lot more intelligent things how they can try to capture that market. But they're going to hit everywhere globally. When you look at some of the rumors, and as I said, Sony isn't telling us stuff. So we don't know almost anything still. We really don't. We have so little information about the PlayStation 5. It's kind of absurd. I mean, we know we can blow into the controller, and that there's like adaptive triggers and stuff like that. We know that. We know the basic, specs, the SSD, all that stuff. But the biggest rumor is, one, they're getting hammered on the price of their parts. And
yes, that's correct.
They might try to tackle America before anywhere else.
Yeah, we're hearing that they're going to focus on the U.S. Region first. And then obviously Japan is not supposed to get their first PS5 until after Christmas, and a few of the other regions very late December. So yes, they might be in trouble.
I mean, that might be out of their realm of control. If it is, it's still kind of their fault. Honestly, that's crazy to me. And that, to me, above everything else, price, launch lineup, whatever. I just think that would be the biggest mistake. And if you remember, the Xbox One had a staggered launch. The PlayStation did not. They dominated the other markets. And, relatively speaking, Xbox was very close to PlayStation in America. Did very, very well in America. In other regions, it's ridiculous. Like, out in Europe, I don't know.
I think it was upwards of a 6-1 in Europe.
Yeah, that's insane. So, like I said, role reversal. I don't know. It's nuts. I think you could be onto something, but at the end of the day, Xbox cares because they're doing like all access. They're just trying to give everybody a way to get on their service, right?
It's funny you say that, because you were talking about a staggered launch for Microsoft. The Xbox All Access program is launching in 12 countries.
Yeah, 12 countries.
That is monster if you think about it.
Oh yeah, it's insane, dude. And I also, the other thing is I saw a little bit of like good news, I guess, and it came from Z Huge, or Daniel Ahmed, I think his name is. He was saying that like they're going to be using air freight to get the PS5s over here. But the overwhelming majority of like the quote unquote rumors, and they're just rumors, because once again, we don't know anything. Sony hasn't said anything. The rumors are there's limited stock.
Yes.
So availability might be huge. And, if these consoles are out at the price tag of the S and the X, they're not going to stay on shelves.
No.
They're going to get caught up. And the PS5 is going to sell as well. Don't get me wrong. That's going to be leaving the shelves as soon as they get on there too. But if you're selling them 2-1 just through availability, you could be right, Boom. I mean, they could possibly sell, but at the end of the day, I don't think Microsoft cares. They're giving you everything they have on PC. I mean, they just want you on their service. They don't care if you bought a new Samsung phone and you never touch one of their consoles. If you sign on to Game Pass and you sign up for Game Pass Ultimate, you're one of their customers. Yeah, you're a check mark, and that's what they care about. So.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And great point. Listen, Cyber Knox, before I bring you into the conversation, let me just catch up on some of these super chats. There's been quite a few of them. We have Bounty Boom drops an outstanding $5 super chat. Thank you for being here, brother, and thank you for your generosity. No matter what it is, I can't wait to play more games, have more games, and I don't have to spend an extra dime. Thank you, Phil Spencer, Xbox, and Phil Spencer. That's a great point. That is a fantastic point. We also have the Trigger Man, who drops a $2 super chat and says, PS fans can play free-to-play games without a paywall. PS wins. I see why they call you the Trigger Man, but okay, thank you for your generosity, brother, and thank you for listening. We also have Bounty Boom drops another outstanding $5 super chat and says, think about this. It is not 2013, it's 2020. And back then, a lot of people wanted to play single player. Now everybody's playing online multiplayer. I mean, that's a strong point. And Bonte Boom, my goodness, dude, he drops an outstanding and additional $10 super chat and says, multiplayer is the thing to do with the next generation coming out. I love single player games, but I'm telling you, multiplayer is going to be pushing it, and Sony doesn't have a lot of multiplayer exclusives, and that is an absolute fact. We have Keith J dropping a very generous $5 super chat. Oh, man, I just lost it. Hold on a sec. Just a second. Okay, I'm sorry about that. This chat is flying. Keith J says, no questions today. Just wanted to continue to support a cool and down-to-earth guy and in the gaming community, Mr. Boom. Oh, dude, thanks. That is awesome of you to say. Thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate the compliment, but more importantly, of course, I appreciate you being here and your generosity. And we have a good friend of the show, Mariano Pampa, drops an outstanding $10 super chat. Says, hey, Boom, you guys think if Sony goes low enough, don't think they are. Will Xbox change their prices? Great show, awesome panel. Always enjoy hearing everyone's opinion. Well, thanks, dude, for being here. You know, it's funny you say that because people were wondering why Microsoft worded the not the $4.99 manufacturer's price.
I think Microsoft could be petty and they can do it.
They could be petty and they could do it and they could drop it, but I cannot see Sony as a corporation losing $100 plus per console. They're just not going to do that. Will they lose $50? Potentially, sure. Will they lose $100? Man, I don't see that. But Cyber, one of the things, and we've done a lot of talking so far on this particular topic, and we still, of course, have Steel Rain to get to. But I wanted to save him at the end because when we were talking privately, he said he wanted to hear everyone's opinion and he was going to go crazy. So we're going to let him go crazy at the end of that.
Crazy.
But my question to you is, one of the things that people seem to downplay and gamers on the Xbox side seem to revel in excitement is backwards compatibility. It is something that's important to Microsoft. It doesn't seem to be important to Sony because obviously the PlayStation 5 is a PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 4 is a PlayStation 4, and tough titty if you don't like it, right? Yeah. Now they did say 100 games. Then it was changed to the entire catalog by the end of the generation, and that was quickly pulled. So we don't know. Now Wednesday's coming. I'm assuming we're going to know something, but it doesn't seem like backwards compatibility is an important factor. Though it is an important factor for Microsoft. And when you think about if you were an Xbox 360 player, and let's just say, for instance, you had a lot of these discs left over when you went to the PlayStation 4. If you go out and you buy, you're a casual, and you spend, I can't afford $500. I can't afford $449, but I can afford $300. And you can find out that not only are you getting all of these new games in Game Pass, but you can play your old stuff as well. Again, value proposition goes through the roof. What are your thoughts on the overall picture of how Microsoft could have already won next generation?
I think everyone that already said something mentioned a little bit what I was going to talk about. If we compare both of these companies, apples to apples, at launch, who's offering you the better deal? introducing you to the next generation?
Microsoft.
It's gotta be Xbox.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. You have Xbox Game Pass. You have backwards compatibility up to 3,000 games. I think at one point they said. Okay, you have the price with the Xbox Series S, and you have the power with the Xbox Series X, and you have an all access program if you can't afford to buy these outright. And like you guys mentioned, I think that I think that when it comes to the all access program, it's going to be a lot more X so than S, just because people will look at that $10 difference and then just be like, yeah, for $10 more, yeah, I'll grab the most powerful console out here right now for next generation. But their silver bullet, and I agree with Mag here, it's gonna be xCloud. Because if you cannot afford neither one of these consoles, I bet you can afford $15 a month. I bet you may potentially have a device that you can go ahead and you can take advantage of what? Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah.
With over 100 games there that you can play day and date. xCloud is literally releasing tomorrow. So it's kind of like what Meg alluded to. The more people see this, it's going to spread like wildfire. You're telling me that I can play this on my lunch break, on my way to work, if I'm taking like a public transportation, the train, the bus, whichever that may be. You know, even if you're at home, if you have potentially you only have one TV in your house, you could be playing on your phone. There's the possibilities are endless. Now we know we're having a little issue with iOS, but hopefully they'll sort that out. But don't be mistaken, price is also key. When people go to buy these consoles, they will see that $299, and that will be extremely appealing for them. Like this holiday, when they're gonna go buy the next generation, the next Xbox, they're gonna be introduced into if you're introducing your kids into playing, listen, $299 is a very, very enticing price. It'll intriguing price. I'm sorry. It will get people to buy this console. Now, if we look over, do you guys remember what happened when the One X started dropping the price? It started flying off the shelves. The Cyberpunk console was $299 with the game. That thing was sold out in a matter of hours. It was crazy. Price always plays a major influence when it comes to consumers. Don't let that fool you. But if we look at the PlayStation side, what is PlayStation 5 literally offering you at launch? The backwards compatibility is questionable. They said the 100. They said it was going to be the 100 games. Now it's just the most played games. Like their messaging is all over the place. Let's see here. Like PS Now, how would that work on the PS5?
No one knows.
No one knows. What about VR? If you have VR, how would that work?
Yeah, you got to get a dongle. You got to get a dongle.
You have to get a dongle. But will your PS4 games work on your PS5 for VR? If it's not on that top 100, I mean, I'm sure their library will grow, but it's insane. It's like everybody kind of hinted here earlier. It's like 2013 reversed. Yes. It really is. Now, when it comes to sales for both these companies, I think that throughout the holiday and maybe a couple of months into the new year, all these consoles are going to be very difficult to get because everyone, especially the hardcore audience, is going to buy either one or two of these consoles. Okay. Now we're going to start seeing that race start, becoming a little bit different. You're going to start seeing one company pull out a little bit more in front of the other after, I would say around April, May, summer next year. And Microsoft potentially has everything in their back pocket to make this work in their favor. Like we mentioned before, they have the value proposition on their ecosystem. Like once you get into the Xbox ecosystem, in my opinion, it becomes very difficult to leave. I hear guys talk, and I don't have a dog in this fight. I prefer Xbox, but I hear PlayStation guys sometimes mention how Xbox doesn't have X, Y, and Z. But when you hear them complain about a game, oh yeah, I finished that game. So statistically, they're complaining all the time, but they're finishing these games that they're calling garbage games, So it's hypocritical. So at the end of the day, I think it's going to be very difficult for Sony to put out a good message and make an argument for why you should buy their console at launch. Now they will maybe have Spider-Man. They still haven't said anything on it, but besides that, what are they going to tell you? What you're going to be? All the games that are releasing are third-party games are also coming to, with the exception of Godfall, are also going to come to the Xbox. So Xbox has a very good shot. Price is going to be key, especially with the difficult times that we're all going through right now. And I think Xbox just has made a much better argument than Sony has for the past few months now.
Yeah, you know what, dude? I mean, again, really strong points. I think everyone has completely knocked it out of the park. And again, listen, I am not in any shape or form suggesting that Sony is going to be a failure. They're going to have amazing games. Spider-Man, amazing. Ratchet and Clank, amazing. I cannot wait to see what their other first party. You know how I feel about their first party. I love it. But when you talk about generations, when you talk about starting with a rocket on your back, when Sony seems to be walking to the starting line with a cane, again, you don't got to be a rocket scientist here to figure out who's going to win this race.
Boom. Can I just add one more thing?
Please go ahead.
I'm sorry about that. I'm going to add one more thing. This generation, you've seen digital sales skyrocket. Okay, yes. Skyrocket now. I think it's become 70-30, or it could be even more than that.
Ridiculous.
Now 70% of people are playing digital. On Xbox, you know what you're going to get with your games. You know you're going to be able to play your digital library. Now it's carrying over with you through generations, and we've hinted this and we talked about this before in the podcasts. On PlayStation 5. That's a very, you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen to your whole digital library. You don't know. It can potentially be there, yes, but Sony has had the history of just telling fans what they want to hear at the moment. You mentioned this earlier, Broom. They were all about the indies before, all about the indies, third parties. What did Sony say a couple of years ago? We're not going to focus on indies anymore. We're going to focus on, like, they'll say whatever they need to say so they can, make their fan base happy, or whatever they think that their fan base wants to hear at that moment. So your digital library is something that's going to play a major role too. And I think when somebody goes to the stores or they're speaking to a representative, maybe before taking, elaborate a little bit more on this, they may ask, "Hey, are my games coming with me? Can I play my digital library?"
People ask all the time,
right? So if people ask that, what can you tell them about, Xbox? You can say, "Oh yeah, your games are coming with you. You'll be able to play with them, no problem." What can you say about the PlayStation? You don't know. It's questionable.
Well, yeah, that's what I do tell people. I said, well, it's convoluted. It's always, people always ask, well, can I use my old controllers? Can I use my can I take my
peripherals? That's another thing, man.
Yeah. And I was like, well, you can use your PlayStation 4 controllers on PlayStation 4 games. Well, can I take so all my PlayStation 4 games will work? I said, some of them will. We
are they on the top 100?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I always tell people it's like hit or miss. I was like, pretty much anything that's probably released in the last couple of years will probably work, but Sony hasn't given us a list of what will work. Compared to Xbox, we know what we bought will work on the next system no matter what. So you don't have to worry about that. Your accessories, they came out with a blog post that talked about all the third-party accessories that will still work. So when it comes to that, Microsoft has completely been forward-facing with stuff like that. So it's easy to have that conversation with guests to tell them what's going to work and what's not going to work. On PlayStation side, it's like, we know some of it will, we just don't know what. And hopefully that gets answered on Wednesday. For some reason, I don't think it will. I think that will still be something that will still be holding back. But if you want to talk about, like, going back to the prediction that Boom said about Xbox winning the generation, The one thing I will add to that is the fact that they have all access and nobody else does.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And all access, and this is the thing. Some people, when they hear it, they say, "Oh, but they tried that last generation and it didn't work." I was like, "Yeah, but they only tried it in Microsoft stores. Let's be for real. Who shops in a Microsoft store like that? Nobody. Like, exactly. It's like when you think Microsoft store, it's not like you walk by the Microsoft store and you think it's Apple. When you walk past an Apple store, it's always busy. It's always crowded. Microsoft stores were never like that. So that was where that was only available at was in Microsoft stores. So now the fact that this is going to be in 12 countries, it's going to be available in multiple retailers, Best Buy, Target, Walmart, GameStop, online on Amazon. It's going to be so easy for you to get into that ecosystem by just having a debit card or credit card on file. Because that's literally all it is. All you do is it's a monthly payment. You literally don't have to run a credit. You just got to have basically a debit or credit card to say this is where this money's coming from.
Yeah, you know what, Forte, I just kind of want to piggyback onto what you're saying, because you see, you said something very interesting, and we have breaking news here that Mag was just talking about, folks. And I think Sony's in big trouble. We're gonna get to Sony, but before we get to that, oh my God, we got to get to Steel Rain. But here's the thing: you said Microsoft. You said the Microsoft stores. Well,
yes.
Let's look at who their quote unquote partners are at this. Right, Amazon, biggest retailer in the world. Right. Microsoft stores, if you want to use them, by all means,
if you want to use them,
right?
One in every state.
I love it. This is great. I love the fact that we can have comedy and levity with the show. Target, Walmart, GameStop, Best Buy, folks. Do you understand? Listen, I have said this about Phil Spencer before, and I'm going to say it live on the air because I know Phil's listen. Phil, listen, brother, you need someone in marketing. I'm your man. I'm 50. I'm 50 in a couple weeks, but there's still a lot of wagging this tail for this old bastard. So give me a hire. He painted this picture when he got hired, and no one believed him.
Yeah.
No one saw the vision in his head but Phil, and for good reason, because it's Phil's vision. But when you put all of these pieces together right before a launch during COVID, and they can still pull this off, it seems as if they might have. And again, I said it before, and I'm going to stick to it. I think that they have drawn a line in the sand, and it's one that Sony is not going to be able to cross. And we're going to get into that in a second, because I Kirby Louise just dropped an outstanding $10 super chat. I will read, Kirby Louise. Thank you for your generosity, and more importantly, thank you for being here. I'm going to read your super chat, but not just yet, because what you have dropped here is show stopping, and I want to at least get our guest's opinion on this. But we have a funny one from Sikio Yumi, who became a channel member last week, so thank you for that. They drop a $2 super chat and says, "Careful with all access non-payment, they will take a kidney." Well, let's
Worth it.
Sean Murray, a very good friend of the show, drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, "Guys, what do you think about Sony fans wanted Xbox to make Xbox Live free, so Sony will follow and make PSN free?" I still think there's a chance, folks, that Xbox Live is going to be free. That's just my opinion. But again, it's something that we're going to cover. But listen, Steel Rain, I saved you for the end because I wanted us to kind of build this bridge for you. Okay. Now, obviously, this is the first time you're on this program. This is a very forgiving audience. This is a very easy, laid-back kind of a show. I want you to take this ball, run across the scrimmage, and score the touchdown. You've heard everyone's opinion. You've heard Xbox Game Pass. You've heard power. You've heard price. You've heard messaging. You've heard marketing. You've heard backwards compatibility. Do you agree or disagree that Microsoft has set themselves up to potentially win next generation? And in a way, Sony may have not given them enough credit, and maybe arrogant Sony got their tail cut off.
Honestly, Boom, if we really want to be real with the situation, especially according to this breaking news that we just got, I think there's about to be a big change that's about to happen in the industry because just like Mag had said earlier, what a lot of people don't think about, and honestly, they don't think about it, is xCloud. xCloud is about to take over the industry, and as people know it, it's about to become something that's more so relevant. It's like the iPhone. You just know about it because it's what other service can you really compare to that? Stadia is not ever going to, let's be honest, Stadia is not going to get to that point.
No.
And even if it does, it's already going to be behind Microsoft. So it's already on Microsoft's court. They're already up by 30. Who else is keeping up with them at this point?
Mhm.
Now, if we really want to dig deep into it, again, my biggest thing, and I know a lot of people don't get it because, you know, we tend to be hardcore gamers. That's why I want to speak also for the consumer also, because like Forte is, he works at a GameStop. You know, I have 15 years of customer service experience. I know what people are looking for. I have an idea of what the common person is going to be looking for, especially in the gaming. You said when Xbox dropped Game Pass in itself, yeah, it was weak at first, but guess what? It's constantly getting better. And you can see Xbox already said when the Xbox One dropped, that was the initial problem. Xbox is so forward thinking that we're in the digital age now, and that's exactly where we're going. All this other hard copies of anything is going to become extremely irrelevant because you can get ease of access from so many other devices. And Xbox has said, hey, look, man, we have a console. We have this Series X and we have this Series S. Yeah, it got leaked out, whatever you want to do it. I think it was genius marketing. I think somebody was just like, hey, I think I'm just going to hit the button today. And the guy was just like, send it. And it feels like, yeah, man, I didn't know what the hell happened. Why not? That's genius marketing, but it seems the same play that Sony does. They just do it so much from an art of war perspective.
They do.
And that's okay because I expect for Sony to do that. That's the problem also. People want to have such a big console war over plastic. You're not a PC gamer, and that's okay. And that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about console gaming. If we're talking about what you can get out of a small box for $300, if we look into the past, it seems like it's been let me pull this up real quick. It seems it's been something that's been constant over the generation. As we kind of want to look back a little bit, the Xbox One S when they dropped that was $299 in that generation, right? The Xbox One X was $499 in that generation. So boom, already then I feel like Microsoft was setting you up for that difference. If you just want something to play games, stream, play Madden every once in a while, like people say, like the casual gamers do, play 2K, maybe every now and then you want to hop on a Destiny game. Sure, that's what that's there for. But if you want the power, like Xbox had delivered, you want the power, you want 4K, you want the possibility of playing 60 frames per second, because that's something else I feel like people really don't understand. No, casual gamers don't care about frames right now because they don't understand. They have a feeling of it from certain games, and that's why they say, oh man, yeah, that game feels great. But that's not what so you're already pulling them right there. I don't understand why people are seeing it as acceptable that Sony can come out and say, okay, we're going to have Spider-Man come out at a 4K 60 performance mode, or there's going to be a performance mode for 60 frames. So 1440 60, there's going to be some upscaling, some meshing. What are we really doing? Why do at this point, with what we're getting out of these next generation of consoles, 60 frames per second has to be the minimum. It doesn't have to be a performance mode. It should be what is minimum coming out of these consoles. Whether it's at 1080p, because again, with the new technology that we have in these consoles, the common consumer is going to be like, "Oh man, that's fantastic! That is the greatest box I have ever seen in my life."
Yep.
I mean, that's exactly what they're going to do, because they're not going to tell the difference. The same way they're not telling the difference now. The only people that are really arguing about what we're doing this in the next generation is the hardcore.
Yeah, everybody here for 450
and that's
people
it.
here. Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
and that's it. But that's okay. But that's what gaming's about. And I don't understand why people feel like because of the accessibility through Xbox All Access, like everybody has stated, and y'all just stated so many great points. And I'm glad you guys have said them because I would have ran on a rant for about an hour about it. But I want people to understand I'm not fanboying over this. I'm not an Xbox fanboy.
Well, no, you're excited because you're excited. Nothing wrong with that.
Right. No, understandably, but people take it that way. When you speak too well on one console, the other console, oh, that's the console that you rep. No, man. The reason I play Xbox is because the service is better over here. That's just what it is. It's kind of like Apple in the sense. Why people like Apple? Oh, it's just easier over here. But Microsoft just kind of takes care of me. They take care of me better. They give me Game Pass. They give me these games, these multiplayer games, especially. I don't have to deal with server breakage. I don't have to deal with. Tell me the last time that Microsoft had an issue with their consumer base getting their accounts hacked into.
No, it hasn't happened.
Let me know.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe a server goes down for a day or two. Sure, that's the most that's ever happened. But 3 times, what is it? 3 times that it's happened on the Sony side? Come on, man. What are we really talking about? We're talking about value, and that's what Microsoft is bringing to the table. And as we're going into these next generation consoles, and if this rumor is true, Sony is in for a rude awakening. And yeah, that Series S is going to stomp all over Xbox.
Well, you know what?
All over for Xbox.
Yeah, it's well. Again, I have a feeling. I mean, listen, we have heard rumors that the production of both of these consoles started at the end of April. We have heard rumors. I've heard a personal rumor. Someone actually sent me some documentation, which I will not obviously disclose what they've sent and who they are for, purposes that I will not speak on the air. That Microsoft paid extra money for their consoles to be made. Apparently, they spent more money than they should have to make sure that the console production was going to be up to par. Apparently. I mean, again, there were some people in the community, including myself, that said, could they launch a Series X and S at the same time during COVID? Well, when you have a bottomless pit of a bank account, you can spend the money to do that, and you have to spend money to make money, and apparently they spent it. So getting back to Kirby Louise's very generous $10 super chat, here is the breaking news that we're going to discuss for the remainder of the show. Breaking news. Apparently, Sony is cutting PlayStation 5 production by 4 million units due to bad SoC yields. And they say, I knew 2.23 gigahertz on a CPU was a terrible idea. Most GPUs won't boot at that speed, let alone run games. So hold on a sec. Let me just catch up on them. Nightwolf 3186, a very generous friend of the show, drops an outstanding $10 super chat and says, first off, glad you were able to make it, Tempest. Once again, Boom assembles his Avengers. Thanks, dude. That's really awesome of you to say. Tight panel. All of you keep up what you do. Thank you for all your passion and continued support in this community. Well, dude, that is amazing of you to say. And we are very happy to be here each and every Monday night because, yes, this is the Avengers and I am Captain America because that's who I always aim to be in real life, except I understand he's a comic book character, but that's how I conduct myself. And these are my Avengers for sure. But listen, I want to go to Tempest Sun because you are someone as a PC guy. And I saw you were chuckling. Again, folks, this is a topic that was not on the ballot. I am taking the predictions PlayStation 5 event on Wednesday, which I think is going to be canceled now potentially because of this breaking news. Tempest, if they're cutting 4 million units from their launch of the new PlayStation 5, could we see the unbelievable back-breaking announcement that the console has been delayed until 2021 because of this? Bad SoCs. We could see a red ring of death kind of a situation with the PlayStation 5. My God, roles have been reversed.
Oh, God.
They do not want that.
I mean, during the show, just seeing that tweet pop up, and I was like,
and by the way, that is from a Sony fan. Well, why don't you tell the people who that came from?
Yeah, Daniel Ahmed. I mean, he's I think he leaks a bunch of Chinese news. I guess Japanese. He posted a Japanese article So it came from Bloomberg, I guess, Japan.
Mhm.
So I don't know. This is I'm guessing this is accurate. This is fact. It's coming from Bloomberg. I mean, they got a pretty freaking fantastic track record. So I don't know, man. A lot of people thought that the 2.23 gigahertz was really high. You know, they were going a different route than what Microsoft was going. And I tell you, I didn't, dude, I actually didn't expect this because of how freaking gigantic the PS5 is. Just through sheer size alone, you know, I thought that they would be able to like just get the heat out of there. I mean, I don't even know if it has to do with heat, but I'm guessing it is. I'm thinking these things are burning up. I mean, I don't know for sure.
Well, we heard that rumor months and months ago that they were. Remember, people were saying that, hey, for every PS5 that's shipped, they're going to send you. It's going to come with a block of ice.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, there's one person that watches your show. His name is PS5 will ship with a bag of ice.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, every time I make a comment, it kills me. No, I tell you what, this isn't Daniel Med, the very same guy that broke the news. He said, listen, 11 million units is still big for a launch, right? But the key thing is we both know the Series S, Series X, and both versions of the PS5 are going to fly off the shelf for the first year. They're just going to sell out. You know, no matter if they have games or not, they're going to sell. That is just all there is to it. The thing he said in the follow-up tweet is what's really going to hurt him is the resupply in 2021. And like I said, just in the previous segment, it's availability. So, I mean, you know, 4 million is a lot of units that didn't work out. That's just the cost alone. That they got to be. Oh, man, I don't know, dude. It shocked me. It absolutely shocked me. Oh my God, I'm almost speechless. I don't know what to say. That's is it the end of the world for him? No, but you have to ask yourself, why aren't they working? You know, why?
Well, here, what I want to bring up, because you brought up something very fantastic to the point of contention here. Okay, the original Bloomberg report, if you remember, said that Sony was only going to have 5 to 6 million consoles by the end of the fiscal year, which was March 31st, 2021. And I said, holy shit, I'm a nervous wreck. I'm not getting a PS5, let alone because I'm giving one away. Where am I going to get a PS5 to give away? Because I'll get that first before I even get my own. Make sure that anyone that wins that is going to get their PS5. And I was concerned. And then about 5 weeks later, Bloomberg does another report and says Sony is amping up production and they should have anywhere between 10 and 11 million units available by the end of the fiscal year. Now, that's still not a lot of units if you're looking to do a worldwide launch. Now, if they had 11 at launch, they can hit the worldwide. But if you only have 4 to 5 million, who do you focus on first, right? So now, the third report from Bloomberg suggests that 4 million consoles are rendered useless because of a bad SoC.
Dude,
wow,
that's a lot of money.
Man,
it's just.
And if you're expecting a $299, I saw someone post on Twitter that they're going to have a $299 digital and a $399 disc. Good luck, Charlie Brown. More like $549, $499 based on this. They're not going to eat 4 million costs. I mean, 4 million units that have gone into the garbage and have to be reworked on top of giving every PlayStation gamer a $200 discount on their new console.
No way.
Kirby Louis, who's the developer, said he just said basically the silicone manufacturing has to be very, very perfect for all 36 CUs. So if something is slightly off, they got to trash it, I guess. And I don't know, man. Yeah, and it just sounds like bad news. I mean, this is Sony. They have fans that will buy dirt from them. You know, Sony branded dirt. So I mean, they're gonna be.
I pre-ordered that dirt, Tempest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Boom, you actually touched on something now that it kind of got me thinking. You think that this setback will actually cut into Sony's plan to lower the cost of their PS5, right?
100%.
So if they wanted to be competitive with Microsoft, then potentially and maybe put the all digital at $399, maybe they'll go up again.
I honestly I don't know. I couldn't honestly say.
I have to say though,
4 million units is a lot, man.
I will say that they can't delay this console. They can't delay it too much. I mean, some people are speculating when it's going to launch. It has to launch no later than like a week and a half after the Xbox.
They're not delaying it.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I threw it in the chat. The Z Huge. If you want to click on it, I threw it up on the screen so you can see what we're talking about. Daniel Ahmad, also known as a Z Huge EX on Twitter, just dropped this. So if you again, we're not picking on Sony, folks. This is breaking news live on the air. It very rarely happens. And here we go. Listen. There have been circles that I run in that we've talked behind the scenes, and I would never say this publicly because I had no idea that there was a chance that Sony could delay their PlayStation 5. My God, this could be it, and this could be the straw that broke the camel's back. Because again, if you have to dump 4 million consoles, and those consoles were already made, and their release is supposed to be, again, hypothetically, the 19th of November. We are only a couple of weeks. How many? What are we from that? What 6, 8, 7 weeks away? How would they be able to? Dude, I don't know. It doesn't look good. But you know what? Let me get Mag into the conversation here. But before I do, Mag, let me just catch up on some of these amazing super chats. First of all, Gamer by Choice shows his outrageous generosity with a $20 super chat. Says, "Boom, your show was awesome." Well, thanks, dude. I appreciate that. He says, "I catch you every week. Great panel and great show as always. I hope to get an Xbox Series X at launch, maybe PlayStation 5 after they fix the SoC issues." I mean, that's going to be a running thing. Mariano Pampa shows his generosity once again with an additional $5 super chat and says, "That's been my concern. That's been my concern is PS5 cooling. How is this being cooled? Are we getting another jet engine? Now potential red ring of death." I mean, listen, I misspoke. I believe it was Sikyo Yumi actually confirmed that it wouldn't be a red ring of death situation. But it's bad. Let's just say that. AJ Harris is here. Thanks for hanging out. He drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says that sign up on the sign up list on PS website making sense now. That's wow. That's something to think about. Mag, listen, you've read it. I know that you've read it because you are an informed gamer. What are your thoughts on potentially 4 million PlayStation 5s literally being rendered as paperweights as of this show?
Well, let me tell you something. When I walked into this show tonight, I had a laundry list in my head of what I wanted to see this Wednesday for the Sony reveal, and of course, you know what's coming up and everything else for launch day. Then this drops, and now everything is out the window, and I'm like, you know what? That laundry list, I just folded it, put it in the cupboard. What the hell's gonna happen Wednesday now if this news gets out?
I don't know.
This is crazy.
They could cancel it. They could just cancel the show altogether.
Oh, that is suicide if they do that. That is if they cancel this Wednesday show after announcing it after. I don't think they will do that.
Yeah, I can't do that.
I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to push forward with this. The big thing is right now is what the hell do you do with if this indeed happens and you got 4 million consoles rendered useless? What do you do with the cost of the system? Do you still eat $100 per system?
You're not eating nothing.
No.
Sony is not eating that. We can see that from history. They're not eating that.
Okay, now how about this? This is as my good friend Billy Butcher says on The Boys, this is diabolical.
Yeah.
I thought of something really fun. This is crazy. Sorry, guys, but
That
this
was
is
great.
insane.
That was a great impression, by the
Oh.
way.
That was a good impression.
Anyhow, in all seriousness, this is nuts. Okay, people in the chat might crucify me for this, but I thought of something really, really insane. What if? Oh God, I don't even want to say it, but I'm going to say it. What if this is somewhat by design? Oh, that hurt me to even say it. What if they can't get the cost down on this system, and they know that now that Xbox has released their price, and they can't go back on it, and they can't cut the price down? What if this is all part of a plan to maybe use it as some kind of a scapegoat to be able to push to 2021 and saying, guys, get those
007?
you know what I'm saying? I know it sounds nuts. This sounds like something like a supervillain would say in a movie. But I mean, I'm telling you, what if? And what if they do that? And you know what? With the consoles that they do have, they get the pre-orders from the hardcore fans. Like myself, I'll still be there to get my pre-order PS5. Don't think I'm a hater. I love PlayStation. And I'll be there at day one. Same with Boom. Okay? So, but they know that we're going to pay top dollar. Okay? Day one adopters, hardcore fans, to avoid the delay, so at least Sony can show some face at launch time for against the Xbox. And then all of a sudden, you come back in 2021, let's say 3-4 months later, you keep promising. Yep, they're coming. You know, parts are a little slow right now. We're getting everything together. And then all of a sudden, they're able to get some cheaper parts and able to bring that price down so that they can compete.
You know what? Look,
this is nuts, man. I'm. This is all off the top of my
head. I mean,
you're
talking MI6 kind of stuff is what you're breaking down live on the air over here. Hopefully, you don't get a knock on the door.
Oh my! Hey! No, yeah. No, but
I mean, look. All jokes aside, right now this is the worst case scenario for Sony, because, like I said, And people don't seem to see, again, Microsoft pivoted in a way that we've never seen them move before. It was like Dancing with the Stars, what they did last week, because the leak happened on Monday. Remember last week, guys, 10 minutes before the show ended, hey, leak, boom, the Series S, whatever. And they were left holding it. And they figured out a way to just unload or release the Kraken, so to speak, and they won the week. As a matter of, and I said this before, and I'll say it live on the air once again, I have covered all of these consoles and these manufacturers and these publishers since starting YouTube. All right, I make 3 years November 3rd. I'm not even 3 years into the game. I'm only doing live shows 2.5 years. I have never in the history seen a leak this big not damage a corporation the way it potentially could have. They figured out a way. They're on the ball thinking, literally saved the entire launch for them. Again, hats off. So that happened. The cat was out of the bag, $299, $499, with that caveat that they could logistically lower it $50 if they wanted to be, a-holes, right? If they really wanted, if they really thought Sony was going to come down and meet them, they could go further, because they're a corporation that can afford. Nobody wants to take a loss, but they can afford to do it, make it on the back end, because right now they're over 15 million subscribers, potentially even more than that, with Xbox Game Pass. They're making money hand over fist. And if you look at what the money they've made in the last couple of months, all of their games have been in the top 10 in Steam. They're making money going like it's being printed at Microsoft. This particular situation that happened live on the air is bad news for Sony in every way possible, because they don't have backwards compatibility from what we understand. They're forcing their players to move to an entire new generation that doesn't include their old games, because they haven't told us. They definitely don't include the peripherals, right? Backwards compatibility no one knows. And on top of everything, price now. Microsoft has the power with the X. They have the price with the S. They have an ability to sell this console to you for $25 and $35 respectively if you can't afford to buy the console outright. They're going to have the consoles available. They're releasing 2 different SKUs. Sony is in trouble, and they were in trouble before tonight's news. So now I have to go to Gaming Forte. If you, as a manager, as someone that we respect, as someone that you are our go-to numbers guy. If you thought per store Sony was going to have, let's say, 150 PlayStation 5s, and I was going to say they're going to have 50 disc-based ones and 100 digital, because digital they make more money on. With this news, that list might have been chopped into a third. Could Sony be in trouble? And could, more importantly, Forte, could they announce a delay?
No, I don't think they're going to announce a delay. Okay, so could they be in trouble? It all depends on if this gets worse than the 4 million that they have, then absolutely. But I think this also ties back into the narrative that we heard a week ago or a couple weeks ago, where they said that they were only releasing in certain territories like North America and certain parts of Asia. I think this is basically the red herring that was kind of tied to that. I think, first of all, people don't realize that, they sell better in other countries, but they're in a dogfight here in the US, in North America. Xbox outsold them 5-1 in America when it came to the 360 generation. The reason the reason they want to come here first, especially if you're going to have any type of manufacturing issues, you're going to sell well in your other territories, like over in Europe and stuff, like in Asia and stuff. You're going to sell better there. But what's going to happen in America? Because there's a lot of people, like I said, those casual gamers that once they buy a system, they don't want to buy. They don't have to buy another one because it's their Madden box, it's their Call of Duty box, it's their third party box. They don't really care about the first party games and stuff like that. So that's the main reason why I think. As soon as I heard that rumor, I was like, oh, they're doing this just so they can make sure they have a foothold to make sure that Microsoft doesn't run away with the North. Because that's pretty much what would happen if they was to have a staggered delay and try to say we're going to just put it everywhere. That's less systems that's going to be here in America. It's going to be less systems that's going to be available in North America in general in order to have a worldwide launch and sit in areas that you feel like you're going to sell good in anyway. Now, does that kind of not sit too well with some people in other countries and stuff? Most likely gonna be like, well, you're favoriting another country over us just so you can just get sales there. So it's kind of a game that they're going to be playing with their fan base to see exactly how it's going to work out. So it doesn't look good in either way. But I do think the fact that this is only going to, supposedly by the leak, it's only going to impact them in 2021. They said they pretty much have on schedule for this holiday, but it's going to significantly impact them in 2021. So what they're going to sell this holiday is what you're going to get. So that comes down to when these pre-orders do go live, and I do think these pre-orders they still are going to release this year due to the simple fact that they are going to air freight these, which is another reason why I think this is very, very serious. The fact that they're saying we're basically making these to order almost at this point. They have a really big supply of them, but that supply is going to go really fast when you're talking about shipping as many as they're trying to ship to certain territories and stuff. And once those are gone, you're going to be looking at probably February, March, when you'll probably get a staple amount of those back in stock for people to do. So as soon as these pre-orders go live, don't wait, because if you wait, you definitely ain't going to find one.
If you snooze, you lose for sure.
You ain't going to find one. So I do think they're still going to release this holiday. I do think that they're going to be fine this holiday, but the same thing that's going to impact Xbox in the beginning of next year, and Xbox is a different way, it's going to be games. Like, I think the system, Xbox is going to sell just because it's the holiday and they have Game Pass on their side. Now, what's going to happen with Xbox is what games are they going to have on offer for us going through February, March? That was going to be the key for Microsoft to stifle whatever onslaught Sony was going to have for them at the beginning of the year. Now, Sony might just have a completely different problem. They may not just have systems for you to be able to buy at that time. And if that's the case, Microsoft doesn't have a supply issue. People are going to buy what's available. Anybody that works in retail, people will hold out as long as they can. But guess what? people that were looking for switches, regular switches, ended up buying Switch Lights because they couldn't
that was
find
what was
the regular
available.
Switch.
Yeah.
That was all available. They didn't want to buy that, but that's what they ended up buying. So if you tell me that I can tell a person that, hey, what games do you play? Oh, you play Madden, you play Call of Duty? Well, you can play that on this system. Well, I don't really know about Xbox. I've been a PlayStation person all my life. I was like, well, if you play online with your friends, hold out for a PlayStation. But if you just want to play those games and you don't really have any allegiance to any platform, buy the one that's available now, and that's what you're going to do. And then it's a cheaper price point too. So it's a lot of things that's going to really impact Sony over the course of the next few months, especially if this goes deep into 2021.
There is here's the thing. I have to read the article, and I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not kind of calling anyone out. What I'm saying is that I want to read some more about the article because I find it suspicious that that they're finding problems in the SoC for consoles that haven't been made for 2021, but yet the consoles they've made already seem to be okay.
I think this is something they already knew, though.
Okay,
that's the thing. This is something I feel like they've already known, and I think this is the thing when it came to this whole cat and mouse thing that everybody's been talking about. Well, Microsoft doesn't want to announce price until Sony, or Sony doesn't want to announce price before Microsoft. I think that was kind of like, I want to say, console war bread. Like, as much as that could be the case, I think Sony, on one hand, has been looking at their manufacturing for a long time. It's like, our manufacturing is in the heart of where all this stuff started at. And then on top of that, I think they did, when they started announcing that they were going to have a shortage back at the beginning of June, July. And then they just all of a sudden ramped it back up, say, okay, I guess they found what the issue was, but it comes to find out that probably wasn't the only issue. Now you're starting to see more of your supply hit that type of delta that is like kind of unrecoverable. So I think this is something that they always know, but this is something that they can't recover from at this point, especially when it comes to this holiday, to get as many systems out in the world as possible. Why else would you say you're not a global brand that's not launching global? That never made sense to me when they said that. I've never heard Sony say we're not launching a product globally, and they're the biggest global brand of all of them. Yeah. So the fact that this happened lets me know that this is something that they either knew about for a long time, because I don't think Sony's incompetent. I don't think they would just allow this just to fester and let people just think that it just happened overnight. But guess what? In some people's eyes, it's probably best for them to just say, yeah, we can't manufacture enough systems because of the issue we had. And guess what? PlayStation fans and a lot of other people are going to give them the break and say, it is an unprecedented time. A lot of stuff is going on in the world. You know, it sucks that everybody's not going to get a PlayStation, but ultimately, as long as the system comes out this year, they'll be fine. Now, if they delay the system, that's a whole nother problem.
Yeah, well, we're going to see. This is going to take off like wildfire. You know, real quick, before I know that we got to get Cybernox in here, and of course we got to get Steel Rain to give his opinion. Wandering Dutch, a very good friend of the show, drops an outstanding $5 super chat. Listen, if you're not a sub to the Wandering Dutch's channel, shame on you. Get over there and sub, my friend. He is a good dude. We had him on a couple of weeks ago, and we're definitely going to have him back on. He is the real deal. A good friend of the show, Gotham Guy, who I got a chance to meet in real life at last year's E3, drops an outstanding $5 super chat. Says, boom, great show and panel as always. Your show is the cure to the Monday blues. And Mag, that was a great Butcher impression. Well done, mate.
Well, thanks a lot, Huey.
There you go. I love it, man. That is real. That is impressively good. I must say. Good friend of the show, Pixel Bit G, also a very generous friend of the show, drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says this: they knew, that's why they're having a lottery. That's good opinion. Cybernox, what are your thoughts on this breaking news? 4 million consoles literally rendered useless.
Oi, Mag, what's Sporty Spice up to? What's Sporty fucking Spice up to? Because together, well, the Spice Girls, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah. Like I alluded to a little bit earlier, I think that this kind of like Forte mentioned too gives them an in, or it tells them, hey, we're doing this lottery because of this situation, and yeah, it gives them an excuse to up the price from maybe trying to be as competitive as they could have been with the Xbox Series S. It also, in my mind, I think like if you said, Boom, that it could have been on the 10 million that they already manufactured, that could be, those could be okay. But in the back of your mind, if you're a consumer and you know about this news, you're kind of wondering, hey, is this
Is my console going to shit out when I buy it?
Exactly, is this going to be one of those situations again? So yeah, man, unfortunately 4 million units is a lot of units. It leaves them in a pretty vulnerable state, so it's gonna be interesting now. Like, this news just broke. They're supposed to have a showcase on Wednesday.
Yep.
So how they react to it, will they address this issue? Will they just not say anything and just because potentially only the hardcore fans will hear about this, and then they can maybe just let the casuals not even figure out what's going on. And yeah, this news, man, changes a little bit of what's going on, because if they still have 10 million units out there, I mean, they still have to distribute this thing.
Well, they're not going to. The original
it's all going to be
the original number 10 to 11 million was they were going to have that number by the end of the fiscal year.
Right,
and that's
correct,
March
yes.
31st, 2021. Right. So they're going to have potentially 4 to 6 million units.
Yeah.
Before the end of the year only, and I'd like to know where these 4 million can openers are going to be available. I mean, was it from the stock they already had, or was the stock that they have coming? I don't know.
So yeah, so with the biggest question in price now, you also have kind of, like I said, you have that question. You have to question that quality control. What's going to happen to the consoles that have already been manufactured? But Wednesday's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what we see and what they tell us.
Yeah, no, definitely. And closing out today's outstanding show, which has had a lot of big opinions, Steel Rain, why don't you give us your thoughts and theories on this breaking news? How damaging could this be to Sony's PlayStation 5 launch this fall?
Man, if that 4 million consoles down, Boom, we might as well call the game a wrap. That Xbox has it. That's a knockout. PlayStation can't afford to do that. With PlayStation being a hardware-based company and them selling consoles really well, there's something they're very dependent on. Especially if you look back at the history, it's just Microsoft is a service-based company, and they're always going to provide excellent service for you. To an extent that we see how long Microsoft has made it to this point. I mean, from over the years, we went from. I mean, I started off on Windows 95, so we're going from 95 to now we're in Windows 10, and we see the advancements that have been made. We see the advancement that. We see what they've done with Xbox, bringing that to the forefront, and them always being behind the ball. I feel like after the first OG Xbox, Microsoft turned their whole perspective of what they wanted to do with gaming and with the 360, and that's why it sold so well and everything along with the price and along with the games and along with, we just had it going, but PlayStation came back at the end of that, and then as we see with PlayStation being the more dominant one this time, and honestly, if we just look at it again, it's always about price and power. It was about price and power then, and now you're going to tell me that it's not about price, power, and now value. That's the other thing you have to always consider, is the value that is being offered versus Sony now being potentially down 4 million consoles. There's no way that you could come back from that in 2 months, less than 2 months.
Yeah, there's no way.
There's no way.
Yeah.
What you're gonna say by March? You can. We still got COVID. We still got the pandemic going on. Like, there's so many more factors that go into this. This is not something they could afford to do. This is not something they could afford to have happen at this point in time. I mean, rumors are rumors, so we'll see what happens. But man, this can be really terrible, man.
Yeah, it definitely could be. Like I said, it seems as if both companies are going in opposite directions. Microsoft seems to have all their ducks in orders, and Sony's PlayStation plans for the next generation seem to really be out of whack. And there's a lot of questions that we haven't had answered. This Wednesday show, I think, is going to be a 60-minute presentation. I think they're going to give us price. They're going to give us a pre-order, and they're going to give us release date. I don't think there's going to be a console breakdown. I don't think there's going to be talk of backwards compatibility. I think they're going to show a Spider-Man, hopefully. You might get some more Ratchet and Clank. You may get some Godfall. You may get some bug snacks. You may get a game in there that we don't know is coming at launch. But there is a lot of information that needs to be said, and I just don't think that they're going to have the time to put everything that they have unanswered into one show. And then when you couple that with this breaking news that has hit the internet, and by the way, if you look at everyone's feed, it is going crazy right now on social media. Sony is in a bit of a pickle. But listen, folks.
But you know what? Before you end out, the funny thing is, let's talk about how Xbox can be super petty.
Let's do that.
Because Xbox is petty. Let's be for real. So this just came out. So this announcement just happened about an hour ago. Xbox saw it, I guess, and then they tweeted out Xbox Series S and X will play 1,000 of your games from 4 generations. Xbox S will play Xbox S versions of the backwards compatible games, improved texture features, higher and more consistent frame rates, faster load times, auto HDR. Pick one up soon.
That's petty. I love it.
Literally,
do me a favor, dude. Drop that into.
Within an hour of this announcement, Microsoft comes out with this. It says, "Hey, we're not even going to talk about our high-end system. This is our $299 system that you can pick up if you can't happen to find that precious PlayStation 5 that you were looking for."
Ain't no
drop that into the DM, please. And I'm going to.
I am right now.
I have to read this once again. Again, is it petty? Sure, but is it a PlayStation-like move? You're damn right.
It's beautiful. I love it. I love it. This is what I always wanted from Xbox, to be petty, just like PlayStation games.
I say pull the page. I think what they might have done is snuck into their headquarters and literally lifted the entire playbook, because that is definitely a funny move. Real quick before we get out of here, Sean D, a very good friend of the show, drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, "Great show, guys. This mainly hurts Sony because their goal is to transition PlayStation 4 players to PS5 as quickly as possible. Really hurts their strategy." And yes, those words came out of Jim Ryan's mouth specifically. But listen, folks, this has been a fantastic 2+ hours. I want to say, I hope you enjoyed the gameplay running in the background. I was watching it. It looked a little choppy, but I'm not sure, because watching it on my screen on the computer, it worked great. Watching it on the phone, it seemed a little stuttery. I have to see what the replay is going to look like. I don't know if I need a more beefier computer to do that. I don't think so. But, again, I'll make the adjustments. Hopefully you enjoyed tonight's outstanding 2+ hours of Xbox and PlayStation news, along with some breaking news. So let's get to the outros. And we're going to start with, of course, our special guest, Steel Rain. You were awesome. You knocked it out of the park. You had big opinions for some big or even bigger topics. Thanks so much for being here. Do me a favor, brother. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, and are you going to be a guest on anyone else's show?
Oh man, Boom, I just want to say first off, I appreciate you for having me on panel. I appreciate you for being in your presence, man. Y'all are great. Very valid opinions. Man, it was just a fantastic time. You guys can catch me on YouTube. I'm starting to stream more often. It's more of a weekend thing to work throughout the week. I stream anything from Black Desert Online to Destiny to Gears. I'm starting to get back into Gears mainly just because I've been playing it since day one. And I just had to take a break from it for a while. So I know that guys like Crispy and people like that. I've been trying to get in with them, see what's good with that. But other than that, everywhere, man, you can find me at I Steel Rain, the T's are 7, and I'm on Twitch, YouTube. Also have my own podcast that I do with my brother Akuminati. and we do it on Sundays around 11 o'clock. It's the Lucrative Podcast, man. Two brothers come together. We came together from gaming, and man, it's just we kick it back, have a good time, and just try to keep it as authentic as possible, and just try to give a different perspective because there's not a lot of representation from where we're from as far as like gaming goes. That's why a lot of people from where, like when I was growing up, was turned off from gaming. It was kind of shunned, so. But we're just coming from a different perspective, and hopefully y'all can tune into that.
Yes,
but other than
absolutely.
that, man, that's pretty much it, man.
Well, thank you so much
Appreciate
for being here, dude, and definitely going to help get you some listeners and push your program, and definitely going to have that in, of course, the show notes if you want to sub his YouTube channel. Of course, next up, Gaming Forte, you, my friend, have been busy with a capital B, and your channel has exploded on the scene, and for good reason, because the content is so damn good. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone about your outstanding YouTube channel. Tell everyone about the other shows that you're on, as well as where they can reach out to you on social media.
Yeah, man. Really appreciate it. This is always a great time with you guys on Monday mornings. I mean, Monday afternoons feels like Monday mornings for me sometimes. but no, man, this is a great show. Rain, good meeting you for the first time, man. Did a really good job today, man. Keep it up, man. I know it's hard the first time you do it, but man, you do it enough, it becomes part of you, honestly. But outside of that, it's Gaming Forte everywhere: YouTube, Twitter, Xbox Live. Any of those places you want to hook up, just hit me up. Always down to do that. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat that subscribed to the channel. We have passed 2,000 subs.
Nice,
yesterday.
dude. Nice.
So,
congratulations on that, bro.
Yeah, man. It was a long time coming, man. And shout out to Slumbo for putting that bug in me to make me want to make content as consistently as I do now. So that's always a great thing. So, man, shout out to you, Boom, for always pushing people to the channel. Shout out to everybody that loves the content, man. We got a lot of stuff to talk about over the course of the week. Me and Slomo will be live on his channel tomorrow doing the DPS podcast, episode 2, on his channel tomorrow at 9 p.m. Check us out on BRAP at 9 p.m. on Wednesday night. And I hope to see you guys there. You guys have a great week and enjoy it.
Well, yeah, thanks so much, dude. And like I said, you keep doing what you're doing. I cannot wait to hear your next video regarding Sony. I know it's going to be a big one.
That's getting recorded tonight.
Yeah, I figured as much. So you get working on that. But thank you for always being here, dude. I obviously would not want to do the show without you.
I appreciate you, bro.
I appreciate you even more. So thank you for that. The Tempest Sun. You came back in a week that not only had 2 massive topics, but a breaking news Sony one. Dude, like I said, we missed you. We're glad that you're back. Obviously, this is a family-first program, but tell everyone about where they can follow you on social media, but more importantly, potentially get sniped and shot in the face by playing multiplayer.
You can find me on Twitter at the Tempest Sun. My gamer tag is Tempest Sun. I had a good time as always, and Steel Rain, you did a phenomenal job for your first time, buddy. Real good job. It was a pleasure meeting you. Rest of the panel, love you guys. Great to be back. Like I said, also a Breakfast with Boom member, Dreadpool. I know everybody here, knows Dreadpool.
Yes, to tell everyone about that. That was cool, man.
Yeah, we met and we had lunch at a place called Fred's Market. It was like an all-you-can-eat place, and he has a little setup. So right there at lunch, in the midst of the restaurant, we did a show, Breaking Bread with Dread.
Yes.
That's what it's called.
Nice.
And I posted it on Twitter. It was a lot of fun. Dread is a super cool dude, and everybody give it a listen if you're interested. So,
yes,
yeah.
Dreadpool is a good dude, real knowledgeable when it comes to gaming, and he is doing his own thing on his YouTube channel, again, called Breaking Bread with Dread, and he's meeting up with other podcasters in his state, which, of course, is Florida, and episode 2 is live right now. I'm actually going to add that to the show notes, so
Cool.
if you want to check it out, that would be something worth your time. Definitely want to support our very good friend. Next up, we're going to go with Cybernox. Cyber, it's great to have you back on the panel. Thankfully, we didn't lose power because it's been crazy here in our states. But dude, tell everyone where they can check out your outstanding YouTube channel, but more importantly, hit you up on social media and start a conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you, Boom. Glad to have Tempest back. Steel Man, it was great having you. Great podcasting you for the first time, man. You killed it. Just glad to be here. Cybernox everywhere, guys. You guys already know the drill. On Xbox, on Twitter, Twitch. I'm playing The Witcher 3. I was gonna hold off and play it when the upgrade came for the new consoles, but it's not coming until like May of next year, so I can't hold off. I'm gonna play it right now. It's crazy. So I'll probably
It
be
still looks
streaming that.
amazing, though.
Oh man, it's an amazing game. I love that game. So I'm streaming it right now. If you want to see that, it's on twitch.tv at /Cybernox. Yeah, guys, awesome chat. You guys are always great. It was fun chatting with all of you, and I can't wait for next week. Hopefully we got some good news on Wednesday.
Yeah, you're definitely going to hopefully, like I said, hopefully we don't get a cancellation of that, and have to retreat, because I think they were scrambling with the Xbox news from last week. And again, things happen for a reason. I know Forte, it says that sometimes Microsoft could be petty. Did anyone happen to remember that last week it was PlayStation's 25th anniversary?
And Microsoft announced their stuff.
And Microsoft just cleaned their shoes all over their coattails. It just was. It was something else. It was disrespectful indeed. And last but not least, Mag, obviously, you are not only on this podcast, you are also on another little podcast with one of our favorite community members, known as not Arnold Schwarzenegger, Nocum, who does voices. And obviously he has his podcast After Dark show, which you are now a part of. Tell everyone where they can listen to you on other shows, check you out on social media, or potentially hit you up on Xbox Live.
Well, you could follow me at the Middle Age Game Guy. That's with a GY at the end on Twitter. On the Xbox side of things, you can find me at all capitals, one word, DEDMEAT1. That is Dead Meat 1. And on the on the PlayStation side of things, you can follow me all capitals, all one word, because I don't know how to be quiet. It is I am the Mag. You can follow me on PlayStation. On the YouTube side of things, you can find me here every single Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with, of course, Boom and the rest of us on Primetime Gaming. And on Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can find me with Noof Nukem and Titan Drago on the wild and completely insane Gaming After Dark. And trust me, I'm not exaggerating. It's insane. So we all have a great time. Steel Rain, it was a pleasure working with you tonight. It was a great time. You did a great job. And everybody in the chat, thank you for coming out, of course. And everybody have a great week. And we'll see you all next week. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks so much for being here. And once again, everyone, thank you for an amazing show. I want to thank the near 500 people that came out, which was amazing considering that Monday Night Football started this week. We were still able to attract so many people. And I am honestly and truly thankful. But I also want to say a big thank you to all of the very generous super chats that continue to come in. I'm telling you, folks, I say it every week, and I'm not ashamed to say it. Your generosity completely blows me away, and I want to say that I'm thankful from the bottom of my heart. But I also want to close out this show with something that I do almost every show in honor of my pop, who was the greatest man I've ever known. He used to say this: treat others how you want to be treated, and also it doesn't cost anything to be nice. And you live by those rules, and I can guarantee you, you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.